Greetings. If Black America were a separate country, it would be ranked as the 15th wealthiest nation in the world, which is down from being the ninth wealthiest nation just 30 years ago. There is a widening wealth gap between whites and blacks in America. Today, the average white household has 17 times the wealth of the average black household. Just 5 years ago, the average white household had only 13 times the wealth of the average black household. There is a persistent education gap in our public schools. This education gap traces all the way back to the Supreme Court's decision to integrate public schools in Brown versus Board of Education and the white resistance that followed. Health disparities resulting from the stress of living under a racist system, lack of access to adequate health care, and the nutrition and lifestyle results in Black people's lifespan being 4 or more years less than the average white person's lifespan. The Black male lives an average of 10 years less than the average white. About 1 in 4 Black males will go to prison at some point in their lives. Black females are incarcerated at twice the rate of white females. The Black community suffers under violence. The pressure of living in a racist society expresses itself in violence against each other. We strike out in frustration against each other, not really knowing who our real enemies are. The murder rate for whites is about 2.5 deaths per 100,000 people. But for the Black community, it's 19.4 deaths per 100,000 people, which is nearly 8 times higher than the white death rate by homicide. When I look at the current state of Black America, despite the problems, I have hope. In the 2020 election, Black voters delivered a decisive victory to the Democratic Party. We have to recognize our position within this country and our power and learn to exercise it as a group. Our problems in the Black community have deep historical roots. The American system of systematic racism continues to persist even until today. The descendants of slaves in America have never been compensated for slavery. Black America has never been compensated for the economic and psychological effects of Jim Crow segregation and continued systemic racism. The major lesson learned from the 2020 presidential election is that when we are inspired by our self-interest, we will act and get involved to establish a solution. The 45th president placed the Black community under daily stress, the constant lying, dog whistling to racist groups, and the rise of white supremacy that took place under the past administration placed the Black community in daily peril. We are living in the time, as the scriptures of the Bible say, that the man of sin will be revealed. Over 70 million people voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. The US Senate and the US House of Representatives has a very large number of officials, congressmen and senators, who are openly against the interest of the Black community. They're even calling for not telling the truth to Black children in school. They want to whitewash the history and give us false information by trying to deny the 619 Project in schools. We are in troubled times. And despite our friends and whites of goodwill, we must come to recognize the true reality of the extent of racism in America. We have come a long way, but we must recognize that it is a long way from being over. Now is the time to press for reparations and the dismantling of the system of systemic racism. We have to talk about this. We have to have an open and frank public discussion regarding this issue of reparations and the dismantling of the system of systemic racism. If we don't take a stand, we're under threat of going backwards. There's a large number of people in this country who are against the interests of the Black community, who see the success of the Black community as something to try to stop, because they see that success as something that they feel, no matter how inappropriately, they feel that it takes something away from them. They feel the need to be superior, the need to be in a first position over us. But the time for that has come to an end. And it's time for us to stand up and be who we are. Thanks for listening.